Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to introduce the problem of subdivided flats in Hong Kong. Subdivided flats, also called subdivided units, result from subdividing a domestic flat into the subdivided units for rental purpose. There are over 200,000 residents are living in subdivided flats in Hong Kong, with 30 square feet per person living space. And residents are mainly low-income families, new migrants, unemployed citizens, and single elderly people. Subdivided flat problem can be sorted into the dimension of urban poverty, and there are three main reasons causing the situation. The first reason is estate unaffordability, which makes buying or renting a normal apartment unaffordable to many people. Because increasing demand and lack of land supplied by government for new housing. In 2017, Hong Kong has kept its top position in the list of cities with most unaffordable housing price. The median price of an apartment equals to 18 times the median household income. The other reason is shortage of public housing supply. Since housing in Hong Kong is very expensive, poor people's only outlet is public housing. But in Hong Kong, there is no adequate public housing covering the group. So people seeking public housing are faced with applications. People who drop the first application of public housing need to wait for on average 4.1 years till the first public housing unit allocation. Thus, during the long waiting time, they choose to live in subdivided flats, which are much cheaper than private housing. Furthermore, in some conditions, people are involved in poverty trap. The median monthly rental payment of subdivided units increased by 10.5% from 2014 to 2015, while the median household income increased by 6.1%. In other words, the rising trend of rental price of subdivided units is even steeper than that of the salary level. It increases people's expenditure on housing, reducing their investment, and thus they save only a small amount of money, having less chances to purchase their own house in the future and less chances to get out of poverty. And this problem is very severe for the following reasons. For people living in subdivided flats, they are faced with severe hygiene condition and safety condition. For example, the fire safety fails to meet the proper standards due to alteration of the building structures by dividing flats into numerous smaller units, putting the residents' lives at danger. Moreover, there are also problems caused by relative poverty. Living in slum makes people fail to meet distinct needs and feel isolated. Although they are in relative poverty and their level of poverty is a lot higher than those in developing countries, in terms of their standing in society, their relative poverty can also have serious consequences and lead to social problems, such as deteriorating social cohesion. Thirdly, the situation aggravates social inequality, reduces people's social integration, affects economic prosperity of the city, and in some ways worsens social unrest.
Who is interested in keeping the situation? Some stakeholders would like to keep this situation, especially for the housing owners, real estate agents, and developers. For the housing owners, some of them may think that there are many disadvantages for tenement buildings. For instance, lack of management, poor living environment, and leakage problem. Besides, the buildings were built more than 15 years. Nobody would like to buy or be interested. To cope with these problems, many housing owners divide their flats into several flats to rent for the tenants. Furthermore, the housing owners can earn much more money by dividing the original flats to the subdivided flats. Owing to the high rent private housing estate, many real estate agents and developers may think that the demand of subdivided flats is increasing. The industrial building is one of the popular sites for providing subdivided flats. In Kunton and Chim Ram, there are many people living in these industrial buildings to be their home. Although most of the subdivided flats are illegal in Hong Kong, it lacks regulation to control the living condition. However, some agents may think that it is not a big concern, and many people would like to live in there to wait for the public housing estate.
So who would like to change the situation? Undoubtedly, the residents of subdivided flats would like to improve their living environment. The average living space per person of poor families is only 50 square feet. According to Housing Authority, the living space per person should not be less than 75 square feet, but only 12% of the residents can meet this official standard. Members have to squeeze inside these so-called cage homes. The government would also like to combat the subdivided flats problem. Many of the subdivided units are actually illegal, as the landlords did not get the approval from government. 10 basic living standards for adequate housing are suggested, but none of the residents can meet all of the basic standards. Taking the possible risk of hazards and the public safety into consideration, the government holds the responsibility to introduce stricter surveillance against these illegal and dangerous flats. The phenomenon of increasing subdivided units actually worsens the international image of Hong Kong as a prosperous city, because it fails to cater for the basic housing needs of the bottom line and only focus on economic development. It is quite inhumane that people under poverty line are cramming in such a small unit. In order to promote more equal society in Hong Kong, the government would like to put more efforts in fulfilling the basic housing needs of the grassroots family.
In order to solve the subdivided housing problem in Hong Kong, two stakeholders should be involved. The first one is the government, and the other one is the urban developers. For the government, especially the Housing Authority, who is responsible for maintaining the housing affairs, they play as an important role in combating the problem of illegal construction and improving the living environment of the society. We do think that they can modify the present housing policies. For example, they can immediately do legislation on confining the number of people living in a fixed area and banning the continuous construction of subdivided flats in the community. The huge demand of the subdivided flat has contributed to the continuous supply of these illegal flats. By legislation, the government will put more emphasis in supervising this old housing and thus preventing the establishment of the subdivided flat in planning in building up more public housing estate and provide numbers of public housing for resettling those people who are living in subdivided flat now. If the government put more efforts and assist those poor households to get away from the poor living condition, people may have less reliance on the subdivided flat. Urban developers, it is suggested that they can cooperate with the government and provide some low-rent private housing scheme for the public. For example, they can offer some low-rent dormitories for those who are living alone, as the cost of this dormitory are low and they have a better housing design. It will be a better choice for those low-income earners to apply for. Once the scheme is being successfully carried out, the land rent can be decreased and more people will be able to own the comfortable living place, and less people are forced to choose the subdivided flat as their living places. These two parties should place the issue of the subdivided flat on the top of the society agenda, and thus carrying out the solution hand in hand in order to solve the problem as soon as possible.